The inevitable association of music and film, which always puts music in a secondary or tertiary position. I'd always tried, certainly in my relationship with Michael Nyman, for example, to make tracks. He'd always based our enthusiasms on a film like Alexander Nevsky by Prokofiev and Eisenstein, where apparently musical and visual apparatus and structure have all been worked out before anybody actually made anything. And I would imagine, certainly if you read the books, you've got to be a bit careful here, of course, because the notions of Eisenstein's Mary Seton biography, you get all the diagrams to show how the black and the white respond to the music and the image. But when you examine them, it all becomes just a little apocryphal in the end, and you wonder really what that collaboration was all about. There have, of course, and I'm sure you've got your own private list, good examples of music-film collaboration. But by and large, what happens is the film has primacy. The editor virtually finishes, and somebody, the producer, the director, virtually picks up a phone or whatever else is necessary for communication with not so much a composer, but a man or a woman who writes music, who's a different sort of animal. And they come along and basically embellish and decorate something, a structure which already exists, which I think is far down the line for a successful, really music-image collaboration.
The kind of sociality that joins humans and machines is a sociality that constitutes both, and that there is some kind of liveliness going on here that is both human and non-human, and that who humans are ontologically is constituted out of that relationality. So there is, in some non-trivial sense, not a pre-existing anthropomorphic point of view onto which, from which vision proceeds to the world, but that kind of being in the world, that kind of getting on together with the other inhabitants, most of which are not human and which are actors in the process of making what is the furniture and dramatis personae of the world, that in some non-trivial way these interactions of humans and machines have produced both. It isn't humans that produce machines in some unilateral action. The arrow does not move all one way, even in those areas of direct human invention.
What Heidegger was perhaps not able to see or to grasp, technology shows that there is no end to its own process. The infinite, in general, I would say, comes from Christianity, certainly not from the Greek. And partly Heidegger is right by thinking that the question is a finitude, is a finite, and how to think of, which was a question open from Kant, so Hegel, etc. But the question is then not the finite alone, but how to think of the infinite through the finite.
Idiocy materializes itself in a kind of negative corporeal stylization, yet it points to the generality of a human predicament. Idiocy has something to do with the nearly existential fact of being stuck with a body, or to put it differently, with the fact that the body has claims upon me. It is not only the case that we are largely but necessarily stupid about our bodies, whether or not they are seen to have functioned in so many ways as some signifying practice, or are routinely submitted to a profusion of info tags, but that the body exists as if to mark the dumb impassiveness of our being. There is nothing to know and little to understand, maybe how to feed it, when to fast, how to soothe, let go, moisturize, heal. Mostly, though, there is no epistemological stronghold, no scientific comfort or medical absolute by which to grasp your body once and for all, as if it were ever merely itself, once and for all.
We hear news reports through entertainment media about disasters. Death, destruction, misery, and suffering 24 hours a day. There's no lack of information about disaster and problem. But What our theorists tell us and what we know from our experience is that the way this information is packaged is it's designed precisely to make it so we don't care. And it has to be so. To the extent that this is a prosthesis of our sensory organism, our sensory mechanism is designed to filter out information so that we aren't overwhelmed. And certainly we don't want to be overwhelmed by misery. And so we're all in shock. Basically, post-traumatic stress disorder is the condition, the modern condition of techno-scientific world. So our ethical intuitions are anesthetized, but not quite. We must honor that sacrifice. And this is the theoretical point, that's the point made by critique. We must recognize that the disasters are not anomalies in the march towards progress. They are fundamental, they are in the very structure of the system, necessary to its survival. If we don't want to make that sacrifice, then we have the political choice to make. Take the Y path the other way. But you can't make that choice if you don't know there's a choice to be made. And so the function of the memorial is critical in the sense that it creates a new category, and in creating that new category makes it possible to think about that category and then take action. But the taking of the action, if we're talking about a democratic society, can't be imposed by an elite group. That is, we're not, someone said I looked like Lenin. But what we're not looking for is Jacobin elitist groups to tell others what to do. We're hoping that an electorate culture will still be democratic.
Certainly, the web is the new outlaw land. Certainly, it's the only place with no rules anymore. It's the wild, wild west. You can libel people. I mean, I'm horrified. I was telling people last night, here's the worst thing that's happened to me on the web. I was in a bar. I went home. The next morning on the web, it said, John Waters took a pee, didn't wash his hands, and shook hands with people afterwards. I was speechless. You know. You really can't go out anymore with it, you know. I mean, so certainly I'm for the terrorist aspect of it, and all kids that are terrorists are certainly drawn to the web with the I love you virus and all that stuff. I think that's very appealing. I get it. But I am a hypocrite, yes. I want my films to have to make money or else they won't let me make the next one.